I want to give you all some encouragement, because the world that we live in makes us all feel so downtrodden, so beat up, left without any hope, left without any sense of true accomplishment. This world leaves so much more to be desired. You know, we get the glimpses of happiness. We get our moments of arrayed enthusiasm. But it's so short-lived. But I'm here to offer you some hope of a concept, of an idea that you may have thought about. It may have even been captured in a movie or television show, but it only really scratched the surface. It didn't go into the depths of this idea or of this reality. So in your mind, it only provided you that glimpse of the possibility of this reality coming true, but we so quickly dismiss it because it's not the happy endings that we often see portrayed in the movies and television shows that we watch. I'm talking about everlasting life. Life without end. Life without thought of death. I'm speaking about it never even coming to mind, because it's not a part of the reality that you would live. If you ever talk about the thought of living forever to someone, people quickly dismiss it, and the response that I've often heard is, I would be too bored, I wouldn't know what to do. With the thought of living forever, the possibility of not dying, so which means that's one thing that you would not have to worry about. And I bring that up because the way that we function and the way that we think in this society, we're constantly having to make decisions with the figurative gun to our back. And what is that gun represented by? Everything that we're worried about. Worried if we have enough money now. Will I have enough money in the future? Well, I have money, but it's not enough money. I don't have enough money to buy the things that I need. How am I going to pay my bills? Which of my bills am I going to pay? Because we can't always afford to pay them all. These are those figurative guns that we have at our backs, where we have to make life decisions. The thought of living forever would alleviate, it would remedy that problem. And folks, I'm here to tell you that it's a real possibility. Now, for those of us who are familiar with the Bible, we're all very familiar with the biblical account of Adam and Eve, our first parents who were created in the Garden of Eden. And if you remember the mandate that God gave them, He said, multiply and become many. Now, He didn't just tell them to have their children, take care of your family and go about life. That mandate meant that He would procreate. He and His wife Eve would procreate, and then their offspring would continue that repetitive process over and over and over again, just like we have. And this is how we ended up here, because procreation was put in perpetual motion over and over again. And this is how we have populated the earth. However, Adam and Eve have remained obedient because they remember they were also told another mandate that they could eat the fruit from the trees in the garden, but not to eat any fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and bad, because in the day that they would eat it, they would die. Now, if you use basic common sense, that simply tells you that as long as they abstain from eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and bad, they would continue to live. Just as simple as that. You tell your child, if you touch it, I'm going to spank you. So as long as the child does not touch it, they won't receive a spanking. As simple as that. And that's how simple that mandate was. Their obedience, so their living forever, was contingent upon their obedience, simply put. So if Adam and Eve had conceived their first child while still under God's protective wing, that means if they had not eaten the fruit, if they had not been disobedient, and while remaining obedient began the procreation process, what would that mean for mankind? We'd all be perfect. You see, folks, the system, or this world that we live in, it was never intended to exist this way. It's only because God allowed it to play out. He allowed it to continue, but He made a way for us to get back to perfection. But it's taken time. And this is where we are now. And now we face the time that the scriptures refer to as the last days. What are the last days? The last days are the days or hours leading up where God is going to get rid of this system and the people who want to be a part of it. And He's going to allow those who truly love Him to grow towards perfection, to learn about Him, and to get rid of all those pre-programmed, those imperfect ways that we have developed in this system, so that we can live as a worldwide family where there is no racism, there is no segregation, there is no egotism, there is no money, there are no social classes. Everyone will treat everyone the same. There will be no one person above another. There won't be any universities and colleges. This pseudo-education and this pseudo-knowledge that's being passed off to us as knowledge. And it's not. It's useless. It's worthless information. It's impractical. Because it's absolutely useless for anything. The thought of living forever is a possibility. As a matter of fact, many scriptures in the Bible makes reference to it. Obviously, the first reference was in Genesis, where Adam was told, as long as you don't eat the fruit, you will continue to live. Another reference to it was made in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 45, I believe, chapter 45, where God said He simply did not make the earth for nothing. He made it to be inhabited. In the book of Psalms, it makes mention, Psalms 37 makes mention of the meek will inherit the earth. They will reside upon it forever. If you think about all the accommodations, the seasons, the systems on the earth, like the ecosystems, the biological systems, the geographical systems, they were put in place and they worked. They function. And if you look at the way the human body was designed, the way it regenerates new cells. Every time we go to sleep, when we rest, it renews our bodily functions. The way our filtration system works, the way the blood goes in to be cleaned and is strained out and is kept in perfect balance by the liver and the kidney. It shows that God wanted us to keep living. He made the body work so that it would not grow old, but it does. The rain system, the way the water vaporizes up and forms a cloud, and then in a time that it's well aware of, it will release the rain back to the earth. The same with the snow. The seasons, spring, fall, winter, summer, they're repetitive systems, and it shows that it was intended for us to live forever. But we quickly dismiss it because we're told by the masses and through false religion that heaven is the place that we go. Folks, I'll tell you one thing. When I think about living forever, I've never thought about living in heaven. I always thought about living on the earth in a paradise. And this is what Jesus told the wrongdoers when he was on the torture stake in the middle, the one to his left and right. He said, I will see you in paradise. And he meant that literally. Even Job made an assessment of life, and he noticed how easily we wither away after birth. But he noticed how a tree lives forever. It lives for hundreds of years, and it just keeps standing until someone cuts it down. And he said, well, here it is, God, you care about the trees and the grass. He said, but what about man? What about us? He questioned this. He said, a man born of woman, if he shall die, will he not live again? It didn't make sense to him that a man would stop living. It seemed like to him that we should continue on. And if you look at the book of Genesis, where it talks about the family, the human family, the genealogy, it has to be clear. Folks, it was not fairy tale. Those people lived for a long time. Our first father, Adam, lived for 930 years, wild and in perfection. Noah lived for 950 years. And everyone knows about Methuselah, the oldest recorded one at living for 969 years. And they lived that long for a reason. They were closer to perfection. There were no interferences as we have now. We live in the age of toxicity. Folks, aging is not what we think. Aging is the result of our body adapting to all the toxins and the poisons and chemicals. And it adapts so that we don't die right away. So that's why it's a slow death. And it looks like we're aging. And we're not. I have been a vegan for 7.5 years. And by restricting my diet, which is now 95% liquid, 5% food, solid food. I don't eat solid foods every day, maybe every 2 to 3 days. And when I do, it's in a portion small enough that can fit in the palm of my hand. And as a result of me restricting my diet and eating as little as food as possible, my body is able to do what it's supposed to do, to heal, to recycle, to renew, to regenerate. The more toxins leave the body, the younger I look, the younger I feel. And folks, by no means am I bragging, but I'm telling you what I learned because I was completely overwhelmed and just could not believe what I was seeing. And through this, I have learned how the body works. The best thing you can do for your body is to get out of its way. As I mentioned before on a previous podcast, it's not important as to what you put in. It's everything that you leave out of the body. The more you leave out of the body and stop introducing, the more the body is able to continue on in the manner for which it was created. If it's not introduced to to your body, it does not have to give attention to it. It's almost like when you're sitting in a room by yourself. If no one enters the room, you never turn around to look, to give any attention. You're focused on what's in front of you. But the moment someone comes into the room, you stop, you acknowledge, you give attention, and sometimes, depending on who it is, you have to engage. Well, it's the same with the body. Every time you take a vitamin, every time you take prescription, every time we get shot with a vaccine, every time we drink this nasty water, anything that we take in the body, including food, your body says, oh, there's something again. Let's see what we're going to do with this. Well, we don't know what to do with this. We leave it. We don't know what to do with this. We leave it. We recognize this. Let's use this. It causes a certain reaction. Everything we put in our body causes a chain reaction, and it starts with us. Folks, we have to look at the bigger picture. We have to keep these very important things in mind. This world was not meant to be the way it is. But it's gotten this way because God's adversary wants to see happen to us the same that's going to happen to him. He is going to be destroyed eternally. His influence will no longer be present at some point in time in the future. And this will allow man to gain that relationship, that closeness with God, and live perfect and forever. I'm signing off.